Thank you, Anshuman. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this special Reboot Work Festival organized by UiPath, where we bring to you a lot of ideas, views, and observations on how automation can help organizations stabilize business post-pandemic. With me in the studio today is Pari Natarajan. Pari is the CEO and co-founder of Zinnov Consulting, a global management and strategy consulting firm. Pari has driven globalization vision for more than 250 out of Fortune 500 companies. He has helped these companies transform their business across dimensions of revenue enablement, productivity, innovation, market access, and growth and cost efficiencies. So, Pari, welcome to this session.
Thank you, Ajay.
So, Pari, let me straight away jump into asking you questions on what our viewers would actually like to see and hear. To begin with, how does Zinnov look at automation as a transformation tool? I know you guys have been doing a lot of work in transformation space and also have been doing a lot of study and analysis on automation. So, how do you see automation as a transformation
Yeah, to understand the role of automation as a transformation tool, we need to first look at how the business priorities of companies and the decision making has changed during the pandemic. Companies are very focused on optimizing their operational costs because of the reduction in revenue and uncertainty of the pandemic. Companies are also pulling forward their digital priorities as customers are increasingly relying on digital channels. And companies are also changing the decision making. Right now, decision making is getting centralized to the CXOs. So CFOs are getting involved in a lot of any discretionary spend, technology spend. They're getting very involved in the overall process. So companies are not in a position to experiment at this time. They're really focused on what are the two or three things, big things we can do that will move the needle in four key outcomes. First outcome is obvious, right? They're looking at cost optimization. Second is they're looking at how do I enhance customer experience. And third, they're looking at how do I increase the business resilience. And fourth is how do I enhance my cybersecurity. Those are four key outcomes. And we believe automation is playing a transformational role in all of these areas. So let's look at some of the examples, right? First is cost optimization. So automation continues to play a key role in cost savings. For instance, insurance companies struggling to match the incoming volume of claims, leveraging automation with bots handling 200 to 250 transactions daily. It has seen a steep reduction in overheads around claim adjudication. Second is enhanced customer experience. Companies continue to rely on high touch customer experience models, but during the pandemic, customers have moved into digital channels, and that is rapidly forcing companies to move to digital channels to serve customers. So, automation is playing a significant role in this. For instance, several leading banks have fully automated their account opening, know your customer, or anti money laundering use cases to ensure business continuity to their customers. And third is building business resilience. Millions of knowledge workers across the world had to move to work from home during the pandemic, and there are several lockdowns. Now, Europe had gone back to lockdown. So, companies had to automate several of the processes to reduce human interventions. For example, a US-based healthcare provider leveraged automation of RCM process right from detailed extraction of forms to claim management. This has led to a savings of 138,000 man hours only in 6 weeks from deployment. And fourth is ensuring security standards, cybersecurity. Right? Security concerns have risen tremendously over the last few months, with cyber attacks reports raising 400% during the COVID pandemic. Here again, automation is playing a pivotal role in ensuring regulatory compliance and data protection. For instance, a large state agency in the US automated processes to expedite delivery of millions of dollars in CARES Act benefits while maintaining privacy standards and private data security norms. So we expect to see the role of automation evolve further and emerge as the top priority for CXOs.
So basically, what you're saying is building business resilience or business continuity in a secure environment, providing best-in-class customer experience and at the optimum possible cost, which is exactly what I believe the entire automation as a subject stands for, providing support to our customers to get the maximum out of the extensive investments that they would have made in their business applications. So, how does Zinnov as an organization try to figure out uh, that given business is at what stage of automation maturity, and how are they going to figure out whether they are going to only look at automating a certain part of a process or multiple processes, and how do they bring in these four elements that we just talked about into their automation journey?
Absolutely. So we have a comprehensive automation maturity model. We have three stages. I'll talk about what the three stages are. What are the key attributes? I'll give you a sense of how we go about this. Our first stage is called exploratory, where these are enterprises just starting with POCs, trying with some of the lower hanging use cases such as HR, FP&A, functions. So that's exploratory. Second is a little bit more advanced, where more mature enterprises have a structured approach. They have a COE. They have some dedicated investment for automation. They have focus on in talent upskilling. They're also looking at still horizontal use cases, but a little bit more complex use cases. And third part of the maturity is what we call as transformational. Here, the enterprises have devised a holistic automation strategy, combining automation with other modern technologies such as AI, ML, and are targeting industry-specific, complex use cases through a proper governance structure. We have companies such as JP Morgan, AT&T, and so on, which are in the transformation stage of maturity with thousands of bots managing complex processes and dedicated investment to drive the automation initiatives. So these stages are defined by five underlying attributes. The first is the use case complexity. Right? Our company just focused on corporate functions, use cases such as F&A, HR, customer support, or are they automating several critical use cases? For example, in core banking, right, there are use cases such as fraud detection, anti-money laundering, trade and investment strategies, and loan approvals, and so on. Second is the presence of an automation COE. So companies have a dedicated automation COE that allows them to build quick technology capability in all of the newer things which is happening, which allows them to enable collaboration between various parts of the organization, which allows them to seamlessly transition best practices across the company. So that's like the second key part. Third is the availability of automation talent, right? Do the companies have the right talent pool to be able to automate end-to-end processes? And with the advent of low code, no code, it is now much easier, even for a business user, to be able to code a bot. So our companies investing in upskilling the talent which is already exists in the company to be able to drive automation. So that's a third broad area. Fourth is the focus on modern technologies, right? Technology is evolving so rapidly. So our company is moving from in a traditional RPA to using other technologies such as AI, NLP, computer vision to unlock new opportunities for automation. And fifth is the clarity on target outcomes. Do companies have a clarity on what they want to achieve from their automation initiatives, and how do these outcomes tie into the business priorities of the organization? The companies in the transformation stage of maturity tend to do well in all of these five dimensions I spoke about.
Oh, great. Actually, very exciting to hear, Pari, because if you look at our latest release of the solution, which came about 2 months back, we are also focusing a lot on building capabilities around AI, ML, NLP, etc., and offering that as standard services to our customers. And I'm assuming the stages of maturity that you talked about is something that Zinnov can help customers explore, or is there some kind of formula in place that the customers can apply and figure out, this is exactly where we are in maturity stage?
Yeah, we go into our customers all the time to help them understand where they are in the maturity, and more importantly, give them a roadmap in terms of how they need to move from the current level of maturity to really get into the transformational stage.
Oh, great. And so the next thing that I want to pick your brains on is as we see, economies, businesses emerging out of pandemic, and I do hope that this trend continues. Do you seriously see automation playing a defining role in the new normal and helping business stabilize and deliver value to their customers?
Absolutely. And, we believe companies will enter a phase of what we call as intense innovation coming into H2 of 2021. So enterprises will have to quickly pivot from focusing on business continuity and stabilization to focus on growth and market share. And we believe automation plays a significant role across industries. Let me give you a couple of examples. Let's take the airline industry. The airline industry lost $100 billion due to the pandemic just in 2020. And they let go of thousands of employees across the world. And they're right now operating around 30% of their peak volume. So the pandemic will end at some point, and when the pandemic ends, you're going to have the demand come back very quickly. And now suddenly companies are operating at 30%. They have to now have an opportunity to gain market share compared to the other companies. And they can do this by providing better customer experience and better operational efficiency. And all of this they have to do with much lesser number of people because they had to let go a lot of people. And this will force companies to deploy automation across customer service management, ticket sales auditing, crew scheduling, cargo airway bill settlement, among others. Let's look at the hospitality industry. Again, this is another industry which has been deeply impacted. We believe they will accelerate innovation in use cases such as digital room keys, voice-activated digital assistants, AI-based controls for lighting and other electronic appliances. And these are vertical specific, and also talk about horizontal across industries, right? So you have, even post-pandemic, our belief is companies are not going to get all the employees back into the office. They're going to be a hybrid model where people come to office 3 days a week. They're going to work 2 days from home. And this is actually more complex for companies to manage compared to a 100% work from home scenario. So that would require organizations to think about how do I automate infrastructure management? How do I automate learning and development and make it part of their daily use case of employees? How do I automate collaboration and facility management? So there are a lot of these very interesting use cases will companies focus on, not for just business resilience, but really for growth. So automation will become front and center of digital transformation initiatives of enterprises post-pandemic.
Okay, and you talked about training. I believe one of the things that organizations can look at is very specifically training a bot on routine mundane tasks may be much faster than training an employee, and employees can be actually used for more intelligent work. Now, you talked
Absolutely.
about that maturity. Yeah, you talked about that maturity model, Pari, and what do you think can be some of the challenges that an organization faces in moving from maturity model 1 to maturity model 2 or level 2 and scaling up automation within an organization?
Yeah, scaling up enterprise-wide automation has not been easy for companies, an uphill task. I'll give you some key challenges. The first is lack of collaboration between business units, IT, as well as operations. To some extent, that is because how the organizations are structured. The organizations are structured in silos. Each silo has a priority. There are personal preferences. There is organizational politics. A lot of this acts as a hindrance for clear collaboration between all of these functions. Some companies are starting to change it. They are making ops and tech kind of report into this same executive sponsor within the organization. That is reducing the level of resistance, but still that becomes a big challenge. Second is the ability to find the right automation use cases, right? Because a lot of companies started with playing around with POC. Somebody in the ops team would say, hey, this is something I would like to buy like 10 bots and automate. It has been a very ad hoc process. There's no very structured process to look at what do I automate in Horizon 1, what do I automate in Horizon 2, and how do I showcase value for the organization. So that not having a right process, which creates a pipeline for automation, that's a second big challenge. The third big challenge is change management. Like any transformation initiative, change management is it's a big issue, and even more so in automation because the initial narrative around automation is about it's going to remove jobs, right? It's going to replace humans, but that created a lot of resistance in people's mind that hey, I'm going to get this bot installed. It's going to I might lose my job. So that creates a lot of resistance within the organization to deploy. And fourth is ability to automate the entire process. So if you look at the last 20 years, the organizations have been creating these global business services teams. What it does is it looks at each process, then figures out which is the right location across the world where I can transition these processes and run these processes. Companies have been very short-sighted in looking at breaking down the entire process into subtasks. and move subtasks into different locations. So Manila, for example, let's say it's a recruiting process, right? Manila might be working on interview scheduling versus Bangalore might be looking at resume screening. So when you have these processes in different locations, it becomes very hard for you to do an end-to-end process automation. So that structurally that needs to be changed for us to be able to drive it. So in general, if a company has taken a tactical approach towards automation, starting with POCs from some part of the organization, then soon they get into a scalability challenge. Right? It's really important for organizations to have the right strategy, vision, and investments around automation so that they can seamlessly scale from horizon 1 to horizon 2.
Yep, and we have experienced some of these things that we just talked about. In fact, one of the services that we recommend to most of our customers is that if you have the right sponsor in your organization, we come up with an automation operating model that can help organizations go through this entire transformation and change management. Having said that, let me also pick your brains and get some advice from you, if you will. See, the concept of hyper automation is gathering a momentum, and we can see the hyper automation as a term and a buzzword going around a lot. What do you think organizations expect from an automation platform like ours in order to embrace hyper automation?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's even more critical because organizations make a decision on an automation platform once in a few years, and even maybe in a decade, right? So the company want to be really, really sure in terms of what platform they choose. So first thing they want to be sure is a platform future-proof. This would require the platform to be architected in a way that allows new platform services to be easily, integrated. It is easy to integrate third-party services. It's easy for the customer's own team to extend the platform. Or there are pre-built, services available on top of the platform, which is being built by developers and other third parties. Second, they want the platform to help them across the automation value chain, including use case, process discovery, data transformation, business process management, and of course on RPA. Third is they want to make sure it is easy for the system integrators and internal teams to deploy and maintain the platform. So integration capability and manageability are very important. And fourth, they want the platform to be deployed on cloud, especially on a public cloud of their choice. Companies are making choice between Amazon, Azure, and IBM, and in some level Ali Cloud, and they want the platform to be deployed and be portable for one of the platform they prefer. And finally, they want the platform to provide ROI very quickly rather than a long deployment timeline that they're used to with other enterprise software like ERP. Right? They want to see, hey, I can buy this platform. I want to show quick ROI, and I can extend and build on the ROI with additional use cases. So these are some of the key areas when we speak to customers, they're looking for, while selecting the right automation platform.
So basically, what you're saying is a platform which is not just present ready, it is future ready. And it also becomes an enabler for the surrounding technology and not a hindrance for the technologies that have to actually work with the automation, and automation has to work a lot with these technologies. Brilliant, Pari. Thank you very much for your insight and sharing your experience with us today. I'm sure our audience will really appreciate what they've heard. Any last closing comment?
Thanks, Ajay. I think we are getting into a golden period of automation, especially as companies come out of pandemic. Like I said, automation is going to be the front and center of digital transformation. And glad to see UiPath making the right investments. All the best to you and your team.
Thank you, Pari. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure interacting with you today. Anshuman, back to you.